Over the last 5 or 6 years, some of you may have seen me at the Southampton Boat Show or at the old London Boat Show before it closed. I used to do, I still do, a talk about marine surveying and the things to look for. And one of the things I just pulled out my old box of tricks, as it were, things I found over the years. I've just got here to show you because I thought it's actually quite important, because no matter whether you're a yachty or a motorboater, we all, well, almost all of us have some sort of engine mount arrangement. So I thought it's important to show you this. I hope you find this interesting. So here's a very typical engine mount. This one is, if I remember rightly, came off an inboard with about 300 horsepower. Obviously 4 of them and a drive shaft off the back. But a lot of people don't seem to realise that every time you open the throttle on your boat in forward or reverse, all that loading from the engine to push the hull along is transferred through these rubber mounts. So if you're pushing the boat forward, if you're going this way, if you're going stern, obviously the loading would then be pulling on the back as the propeller tries to pull the engine backwards. And so a couple of things that are really important is to regularly check the rubber condition and the condition of the vulcanisation between the metal and the rubber. If you've had a diesel leak or something, or water leak, these can become very susceptible to failure, because if it's diesel, the devulcanisation will start to occur of the rubber joint, and if it's water running over it, again you'll start to get a corrosion, which I'll show you in a minute. Now, one of the simple things to do is to literally get a little pry bar, nothing too spectacular, and literally just put it underneath here and just give it a gentle rock. And this is something I do quite regularly at survey, and in this case I gave it a little gentle rock. Bear in mind there's a 300 horsepower engine sitting on top of it, and thought, there's a bit of movement there. Did the other side and thought, oh, there's a bit of movement there. And obviously I couldn't lift this off at the time, but I asked the boatyard to literally check them further, and they phoned me back and said, you ought to come and have a look at this. Every one of them did that, and you can see this one's been suffering from corrosion, which has allowed the rubber here to break down, or the metal to break down from the bonding of the rubber to the steel. So that's really important. This is one of the few that I've seen that is not obvious, and it's one of the reasons why we always tend to recommend that engine mounts should be changed every 10 years irrespective, because this is the sort of thing that happens which isn't obvious. While I'm talking about it, the setup of it, you can probably see from the corrosion here, this one had been set up right up the top here. Now with engine mounts and the setup of these, if you're setting your engine right at the top here, the leverage on this is phenomenal. So what should be happening is, if you're trying to get the alignment correctly sorted, the engine mount should always really be somewhere around about 1/3 to half maximum away from the shouldering here. And if you need to do any building up, then obviously you should use some packers to bring the whole mount up, not rely on increasing the leverage on the threaded bar area. And again, something in survey that I always find quite incredible is the number of times I find these loose. You'll find the engine is sitting there, and the one on the top is either loose or the one underneath is loose. So, you know, before you start using your boat this season, or even if you are using the boat currently, and you haven't checked your engine mounts for at least a year, please go and have a quick look at them and see if you find any failures going on. Let's say, if you haven't changed them in 10 years, you really should be looking at doing that anyway, irrespective. And especially if you've had a rope around the propeller and you've had a slight pull on the engine, you may find that one of them, or possibly 2 of them, have failed on one side. You know, like your forward and your aft one on the port side, if you're right-handed prop and things like that. So it's really important. And again, if you are changing them, personally I change all of them. But if you're finding a failure on just one, really you should change the pair on that parallel. So if you've got a pair of aft ones, change the 2 together, or 2 forward ones. Anyway, I hope you find that of interest. I'm always amazed at the things I find. And Happy New Year to all my subscribers and viewers.